High among the jagged peaks of the Andes, where clouds cling like drifting veils to the mountainsides, there arose a civilization unlike any other in the pre-Columbian Americas. The Inca Empire, or Tawantinsuyu, stretched across the spine of the continent, spanning modern-day Colombia, Ecuador, Peru, Bolivia, Chile, and Argentina. It was a realm of staggering contrasts. Snow-capped summits shadowed fertile valleys, sheer cliffs gave way to cultivated terraces, and rivers carved through canyons to sustain communities that seemed impossibly perched upon the earth. In this harsh and beautiful landscape, the Incas forged an empire that would endure for less than a century, yet leave a mark upon history that endures to this day. From its heart in Cusco, the empire radiated outward, reaching along the Andean Cordillera over 4,000 kilometers. At its height, it governed a population of 10 to 12 million people, speaking the common tongue of Quechua, yet encompassing countless ethnic groups, each with their own customs, rituals, and local deities. The Sapa Inca, the emperor, was regarded not merely as a ruler, but as a living god, the earthly son of Inti, the sun deity. He embodied both spiritual and political authority, his will extending across mountains, valleys, and plains with the force of divine sanction. Life in the Inca Empire was inseparable from the land itself. Terraced fields, known as Andines, rose from the mountainsides like stone staircases, each level carefully engineered to capture water and prevent erosion. These terraces allowed crops to flourish where ordinary farming would have failed. Potatoes, maize, quinoa, and beans formed the backbone of the Incan diet, and the people mastered hundreds of potato varieties, each suited to a different microclimate of the Andes. Llamas and alpacas roamed the highlands, providing wool, meat, and transport, their presence essential to the functioning of both everyday life and the state's vast logistics network. The empire's engineers and architects left a legacy that still inspires awe. Walls of massive stones, fitted so precisely that not even a blade could slip between them, rose without mortar, yet resisted centuries of earthquakes. Cities like Cusco, Ollantaytambo, and the iconic Machu Picchu were carefully planned, with temples, plazas, and storehouses integrated seamlessly into the rugged terrain. Bridges of braided grass spanned dizzying gorges, while roads cut across mountain passes in every direction, forming a network of 25,000 miles that allowed messengers, armies, and goods to traverse the empire at unprecedented speed. Along these roads, chasqui, relay runners, sprinted tirelessly, bearing messages from one post to the next, sometimes covering nearly 250 miles a day by the coordinated effort of these relays. Inca society was highly organized, with social cohesion enforced by both custom and law. Communities, or ailis, functioned as the fundamental units of society, binding families into cooperative groups responsible for land management, labor obligations, and social welfare. The economy did not rely on currency. Instead, the métier system required labor in lieu of tax, and goods were stored and redistributed according to the needs of the state. From grand festivals in Cusco to the daily toil on distant terraces, every aspect of life was interconnected, a testament to a civilization built on unity, discipline, and reverence for both the natural world and the divine. The Incas kept records not with pen or parchment, but with quipu, a system of knotted strings whose patterns encoded numbers and data. Quipu Kamayoks, trained specialists, could interpret these devices to manage census information, agricultural inventories, and labor obligations. Religion permeated all aspects of life. Inti, the sun god, was paramount, yet the spiritual landscape also encompassed Viracocha, the creator, Pachamama, the earth mother, and Ilapa, the god of thunder. Sacred ceremonies were conducted on mountaintops and in temples, often involving offerings that ranged from maize and chicha to animal figurines and even human sacrifices, all performed to maintain cosmic balance and ensure prosperity. Medical knowledge in the empire was surprisingly advanced. Surgical interventions, including skull trepanation, were conducted with success rates that astound modern researchers. The Incas understood healing, the use of herbal remedies, and the necessity of care for post-operative recovery, reflecting a sophisticated understanding of anatomy and human health. Cranial deformation, practiced from infancy, visually signified social rank and reinforced the stratification of society, embedding identity into the very form of the human body. Yet for all its strength, the Inca Empire was vulnerable. Political rivalries, succession disputes, and external threats would eventually converge with devastating effect. Within decades of its rise to its greatest extent, the empire faced internal civil war, followed by the arrival of Spanish conquistadors led by Francisco Pizarro. Diseases such as smallpox, carried unwittingly by Europeans, decimated populations who had no immunity, further weakening the social and political fabric. In 1533, the Sapa Inca Atahualpa was executed, marking the collapse of the empire and the beginning of colonial domination. Even in its fall, the Inca Empire left an enduring legacy. The roads, terraces, stone cities, and agricultural innovations remain tangible testaments to human ingenuity. The Quechua language still thrives in the Andes, and festivals, customs, and techniques of farming preserve cultural memory across centuries. Machu Picchu stands today as both a symbol of the empire's grandeur and a silent witness to the extraordinary civilization that once thrived among the clouds. The story of the Inca Empire is one of human ambition, ingenuity, and reverence for the natural and spiritual world. It is a story of mountains climbed, rivers crossed, and stones shaped into perfection. It is a story of communities bound together by labor, faith, and law, of rulers who were both human and divine, and of a people who, in a harsh and unforgiving landscape, built one of history's greatest civilizations. This narrative seeks to illuminate every facet of the Inca Empire, from its rise to its fall, from the daily lives of commoners to the divine authority of the Sapa Inca, allowing the reader to journey across the Andes, step into the plazas of Cusco, and understand the extraordinary achievements of a civilization whose echoes continue to resonate to this day. From the moment the Inca kingdom began to coalesce in the highlands surrounding Cusco, its trajectory was one of calculated ambition and meticulous statecraft. Initially, a small polity, the Incas grew through alliances, conquest, and the integration of neighboring tribes into a cohesive whole. The empire's expansion was neither chaotic nor solely reliant on military might. It was as much a product of diplomacy, infrastructure, and ideology as it was of force. Conquered peoples were often absorbed through marriage alliances, treaties, and the careful establishment of administrative centers designed to facilitate governance and resource management. Cusco, a city carefully positioned at the confluence of rivers and valleys, became both the political heart and spiritual center of the empire, radiating influence outward across the Andes. The Sapa Inca, as the living embodiment of the sun god Inti, symbolized divine authority and absolute political power. This theological underpinning was crucial. By linking rulership with the sacred, the Inca state achieved a level of cohesion rarely seen in empires of similar size. Every edict, construction project, or military campaign carried not just the weight of law, but the aura of divine mandate. The emperor's authority extended far beyond Cusco, yet he relied on an extensive network of administrators, regional governors, and local leaders, known as curaxes, who managed day-to-day affairs in distant provinces. These leaders were often the descendants of previously ruling lineages, ensuring continuity and loyalty, while allowing local traditions to coexist under Inca supervision. A key factor in the empire's cohesion was its sophisticated system of communication and infrastructure. The Kapak Nyan, the royal road system, connected cities, valleys, and remote highland communities over thousands of miles. Constructed to withstand the rigors of an earthquake-prone and mountainous environment, these roads enabled the rapid movement of armies, laborers, and goods, as well as vital information. The Shaski, elite relay runners, transmitted messages with extraordinary speed, ensuring that orders from Cusco could reach the empire's furthest reaches in a matter of days. Bridges woven from braided grass spanned gorges and rivers, their elegant suspension allowing safe passage across terrain that would have been otherwise impassable. These roads were not merely practical, they were symbolic, representing the reach of imperial power and the unbroken connection between the Sapa Inca and his subjects. As the empire expanded, it encountered vastly different ecological zones, each with unique resources and challenges. The Incas mastered what anthropologists term a vertical archipelago strategy, exploiting the varied altitudes of the Andes to cultivate specialized crops in different ecological tiers. Potatoes thrived in the cooler highlands, maize in the lower valleys, and quinoa in arid plateaus. These crops were meticulously catalogued, preserved, and stored in massive state-run warehouses to prevent famine. The state also regulated the redistribution of goods to ensure that even the most remote settlements could survive periods of drought or crop failure. The Incas' intimate knowledge of their environment allowed them to manipulate and harmonize with the land, turning steep mountainsides into productive agricultural terraces and channeling glacial water through elaborate irrigation systems. Engineering mastery extended beyond agriculture. Inca architecture was designed to endure the unpredictable tremors of the Andes. Stones were quarried, cut, and polished to fit together with such precision that the walls required no mortar, yet they withstood centuries of seismic activity. Cities like Sacsayhuaman, Ollantaytambo, and Machu Picchu exemplify this technique, their massive stones forming walls that curve, slope, and interlock seamlessly. These constructions were more than functional. They were statements of power and permanence. Temples, administrative centers, and palaces were all integrated into the natural landscape, reflecting the Inca philosophy that human activity should coexist with the Earth's topography, rather than dominate it. The social fabric of Tawantinsuyu was woven tightly with obligations and responsibilities. Every adult member of society belonged to an Ailu, a communal unit responsible for managing land, labor, and local affairs. Through the Mitar system, these groups contributed labor to state projects, ranging from terrace construction and road maintenance to military campaigns and temple building. Commoners were bound by the empire's moral code. Amasua, do not steal. Amalula, do not lie. And Amaquela, do not be lazy. These principles were not merely ethical injunctions, but essential to maintaining the intricate system of cooperation and productivity upon which the empire relied. Daily life was grounded in both practicality and ritual. Ordinary citizens rose with the sun to tend fields, herd llamas and alpacas, and produce textiles from wool. Food was prepared communally, with maize, potatoes, and quinoa forming the core of most meals. Occasional meat from guinea pigs or llamas was a luxury, often reserved for ceremonies or feasts. Families participated in festivals and religious rites, offering prayers, coca leaves, and sacrifices to ensure the favor of Inti and the harmonious functioning of the natural world. These rituals reinforced social cohesion and connected each individual to the broader cosmic order, a reflection of the belief that the empire itself was a living organism sustained by obedience, devotion, and labor. The Incas' mastery of medicine and science was similarly advanced. Surgeries such as cranial trepanation were performed with a remarkable degree of success. indicating a sophisticated understanding of anatomy, sterilization, and post-operative care. Plants and herbs were used therapeutically, and knowledge of medicinal practices was carefully transmitted within families and professional classes of healers. Cranial deformation, a practice applied to infants of elite families, visually communicated social rank, while also demonstrating the civilization's capacity for complex cultural engineering that intertwined the body, society, and symbolism. Religion and governance were inseparable. The Sapa Inca's role as the sun god's representative reinforced loyalty and obedience across a sprawling and ethnically diverse empire. Temples to Inti were constructed in every major settlement, and the rituals performed within them, ranging from offerings of food and textiles to ceremonial sacrifices, were both religious and political acts. The empire's moral and legal codes, intertwined with these religious beliefs, governed daily life and preserved order. Quipu cords, with their knotted patterns and colors, provided a non-written method to record census data, agricultural yields, labor contributions, and even military logistics. This system allowed administrators to maintain control across vast distances without the use of a conventional written language, a testament to the ingenuity and adaptability of Inca governance. Despite its meticulous design and overwhelming strength, the empire was not invulnerable. Internal divisions eventually erupted into civil war following the death of Emperor Huayna Capac, pitting his sons Huascar and Atahualpa against one another. These internal conflicts weakened the state, leaving it vulnerable to external forces. Smallpox, introduced from Central America, decimated the population, killing key leaders and reducing the workforce that sustained the empire's infrastructure. Into this fragile situation stepped Francisco Pizarro and his contingent of Spanish conquistadors. With superior weaponry, cavalry, and an understanding of the empire's internal strife, the Spaniards were able to capture Atahualpa and impose foreign rule upon Tawantinsuyu, effectively ending the empire that had dominated the Andes for nearly a century. The story of Tawantinsuyu is one of astonishing human achievement. It is a tale of mountains conquered, rivers bridged, and stone molded into perfection. It is a story of social harmony enforced through labor, law, and ritual, and of an empire that commanded one of the most challenging landscapes on the planet with ingenuity and vision. The Incas left a legacy of roads, terraces, cities, and knowledge that continues to resonate in the Andes, preserving the memory of a civilization that balanced human ambition, spiritual devotion, and environmental mastery in ways that few other empires have matched. In the villages and cities of the Inca Empire, life was an intricate dance of work, ritual, and community. At dawn, the highland air filled with the lowing of llamas and the bustle of families preparing for the day. Fields glistened with dew, terraces carved into the mountainsides, stretching like stone ribbons, their irrigation channels capturing the precious meltwater from distant glaciers. Farmers moved carefully along these terraces, planting, tending, and harvesting crops that had been cultivated for centuries to survive the extreme Andean climate. The Incas had mastered agriculture in ways that allowed them to flourish where other societies would falter. Hundreds of varieties of potatoes thrived in different altitudes, and quinoa, maize, and beans complemented the staple diet, providing both nutrition and versatility. The preparation of food was deeply communal. Maize was ground into flour or fermented into chicha, a corn beer consumed during feasts and rituals. Potatoes were freeze-dried into chuño, a preserved staple capable of lasting through long winters or periods of scarcity. Families gathered in small kitchens or hearths, preparing meals in clay pots over open flames, the aromas mingling with the fresh mountain air. Meat was rare for the common people. It came from guinea pigs or llamas on special occasions, and the feasts that accompanied religious ceremonies were as much about social cohesion as nourishment. These communal gatherings reinforced bonds within the Elu, the extended family group that formed the bedrock of Inca society. Textiles, another cornerstone of daily life, reflected both utility and status. Wool from alpacas and llamas was spun and woven into garments that were both warm and durable, while intricate patterns and colors indicated rank, occupation, and community affiliation. The craft of weaving was predominantly the domain of women, whose skills were essential for producing clothing for daily use, ceremonial garments, and offerings for the gods. Weaving, like agriculture, was a communal activity with lessons passed from mother to daughter across generations, ensuring that knowledge and cultural identity endured. Inca medicine combined practical knowledge with spiritual practice. Healers relied on a sophisticated understanding of herbs, minerals, and surgical techniques. Skull trepanation, the surgical removal of part of the cranial bone, was performed to relieve injury or disease, and survival rates suggest the Incas had mastered the essential principles of infection control and post-operative care. Healing rituals often accompanied medical interventions, blending physical treatment with spiritual invocation to ensure the patient's recovery. The Incas' reverence for the natural world permeated every aspect of life. Sacred mountains, or apus, were believed to house powerful spirits, and every valley, river, and peak was treated with respect. Offerings of food, textiles, and occasionally animals were made to these deities to ensure fertile crops, healthy herds, and safe passage. The worship of Inti, the sun god, was central to Incan cosmology, and the Sapa Inca's divine status reinforced the connection between earthly governance and celestial authority. Ceremonial centers, temples, and huacas, sacred objects, were meticulously maintained, reflecting both spiritual devotion and the organizational capacity of the empire. The Inca road system exemplified the empire's technological and logistical brilliance. Thousands of miles of paved and unpaved roads crisscrossed the Andes, connecting distant provinces to Cusco. These roads were carefully engineered to survive floods, landslides, and earthquakes, with stairways carved into cliffs and retaining walls supporting switchbacks along steep slopes. Suspension bridges, woven from grass and fibers, allowed safe crossing of deep gorges, their construction requiring detailed knowledge of tension, weight distribution, and environmental conditions. Along these highways, chasqui relayed messages, transported goods, and maintained the flow of communication. These runners were highly trained, sprinting vast distances in relays that could move information faster than armies could march. Engineering achievements extended beyond roads. The Incas mastered stone construction without mortar, creating walls that interlocked so precisely they have withstood centuries of earthquakes. Structures like Machu Picchu, Sacsayhuaman, and Ollantaytambo were built with careful attention to both utility and aesthetics, integrating temples, plazas, and storage facilities into the natural landscape. Their granaries stored food for times of scarcity, while temples reflected both religious devotion and political authority, often adorned with carvings and polished stonework that celebrated the power of the state and the gods alike. Education and record-keeping were similarly advanced. Though the Incas lacked a written language, they employed quipu, knotted strings of various colors and patterns, to record census data, labor obligations, tribute, and agricultural inventories. Quipucamayos, specialists trained from youth, could interpret and manage these records with remarkable precision. The system allowed the state to administer a vast empire with a high degree of efficiency, ensuring that each province contributed its share of labor, resources, and loyalty to the central authority. Religious life intertwined with social governance. Festivals marked agricultural cycles. solstices, and celestial events, combining feasting, music, dance, and ritual. The Sapa Inca presided over these ceremonies, often accompanied by nobles and priests, demonstrating the unity of divine and earthly authority. Offerings ranged from corn, textiles, and coca leaves to llama fetuses and, in rare cases, human sacrifices, all conducted to maintain cosmic order and ensure prosperity. Despite the empire's grandeur, life was not without hardship. Labor demands were rigorous, and individuals were bound by the principles of Amasua, Amalula, and Amaquela. Do not steal, do not lie, and do not be lazy. These moral codes enforced cooperation, productivity, and social harmony, ensuring the survival of the complex system that governed the empire. The interplay between human ingenuity and the environment defined the Inca Empire. Communities adapted to extreme climates, from arid highlands to lush valleys, creating a civilization that could feed millions, move armies and goods efficiently, and construct cities that still inspire awe centuries later. The Incas achieved a balance between technological sophistication, social organization, and spiritual devotion that few civilizations have matched. Yet the empire's vulnerabilities, political succession crises, epidemics, and external threats foreshadowed its fall. The arrival of the Spanish conquistadors, armed with firearms, horses, and an understanding of local divisions, precipitated the collapse of an empire that had seemed invincible. Civil war, disease, and strategic betrayal dismantled the structures of governance, yet the legacy of the Incas endured in roads, terraces, cities, and cultural traditions that continue to shape the Andes. Beneath the Sapa Inca radiated a carefully tiered hierarchy designed to translate divine authority into effective governance. The empire was divided into 4 great quarters, each oriented toward a cardinal direction and collectively converging upon Cusco, the symbolic navel of the world. These regions were administered by high-ranking nobles, often members of the royal lineage, who were entrusted with military oversight, judicial authority, and the supervision of tribute and labor. Through them, the will of the emperor extended across mountains, valleys, and distant provinces. At the provincial and local levels, governance rested with curaxes, hereditary leaders who acted as intermediaries between the imperial state and local communities. Their authority predated Inca expansion, and the empire's genius lay in preserving these structures rather than dismantling them. By co-opting existing elites, confirming their status in exchange for loyalty, the Incas minimized resistance while ensuring administrative continuity. Curaxes oversaw census-taking, organized labor drafts, settled disputes, and ensured that imperial directives were carried out in accordance with local custom, creating a balance between central control and regional autonomy. Law within the empire was both pragmatic and moralistic. Justice was swift, public, and intended as a deterrent rather than a prolonged process. The famous ethical triad, do not steal, do not lie, or do not be lazy, formed the foundation of social order, reinforcing the collective responsibilities upon which the state depended. Punishments varied by severity and status, but the overarching goal was the preservation of harmony within the community and obedience to imperial authority. Political power was inseparable from ritual. State ceremonies, seasonal festivals, and public sacrifices were not mere expressions of faith, but deliberate instruments of governance. By presiding over these rites, the Sapa Inca reaffirmed his sacred role and renewed the cosmic contract between ruler, people, and gods. Participation in these rituals bound conquered populations into the ideological framework of the empire, transforming political submission into spiritual obligation. This fusion of theology, administration, and social discipline allowed the Inca Empire to govern millions without written law codes, currency or standing bureaucracies in the modern sense. Authority flowed downward from the divine figure of the emperor, yet it was sustained from below by communal labor, shared belief, and reciprocal obligation. The result was a political system uniquely adapted to its environment, resilient, centralized, and profoundly cohesive, capable of commanding one of the most formidable landscapes on Earth for nearly a century. Beneath the Sapa Inca, a carefully organized bureaucracy managed provincial affairs. Curaxas, local leaders often drawn from noble families of conquered peoples, administered alis and coordinated labor, tribute, and judicial matters. They acted as intermediaries between the imperial center and the communities under their control, maintaining allegiance through both oversight and the incorporation of local traditions. This dual approach, centralized authority tempered with regional autonomy, was essential to governing a realm stretching over thousands of kilometers of rugged terrain. The empire's legal and moral codes were deeply entwined with spiritual belief. The guiding principles Amasua, Amalula, and Amaquela prohibited theft, lying, and laziness, serving as both ethical injunctions and practical tools for social stability. Education in these values began early, instilling a sense of communal responsibility and reinforcing the reciprocity that was central to Inca society. Religion and governance were inseparable. Rituals, festivals, and offerings to the gods punctuated the calendar, legitimizing the authority of the Sapa Inca and maintaining the favor of deities believed to control the natural and social order. At the heart of Inca religious life was the worship of Inti, the sun god, symbolizing light, fertility, and imperial authority. Sun temples, most prominently the Coricancha in Cusco, were adorned with gold, polished to reflect the sun's rays, and served as both sacred space and political symbol. Seasonal festivals, particularly the Inti Raymi, celebrated the solstice and the sun's role in sustaining life. These ceremonies combined music, dance, and sacrifice, reinforcing communal bonds and the inseparability of spiritual and civic life. Yet the Inca pantheon was expansive. Viracocha, the creator god; Pachamama, the earth mother; Ilapa, the god of thunder; and numerous local mountain and water deities were venerated alongside Inti, creating a tapestry of devotion that permeated everyday existence. Administration, record-keeping, and communication reflected the empire's sophistication. Lacking a written language, the Incas relied on quipu, knotted strings of various colors and lengths, to record census data, tribute obligations, agricultural inventories, and calendrical information. Skilled quipucamayos could interpret these codes with remarkable precision, enabling centralized control over an empire of extraordinary geographic and demographic complexity. Meanwhile, the Capac Ñan, the imperial road system, linked cities, villages, and sacred sites across mountains, valleys, and deserts. Chasqui, the relay runners, carried messages and small goods, ensuring that Cusco's commands reached the empire's periphery swiftly and reliably. Despite its formidable organization, Tawantinsuyu was vulnerable to internal fractures and external shocks. The death of Emperor Huayna Capac triggered a civil war between his sons, Huascar and Atahualpa, dividing the empire at a moment of demographic and administrative stress. Simultaneously, diseases introduced from the Old World, particularly smallpox, decimated the population, killing elites and commoners alike and undermining social cohesion. This convergence of internal and external pressures left the empire ill-prepared to confront the arrival of Francisco Pizarro and his Spanish forces in 1532. The conquest of the Inca Empire was swift and devastating. With a force of fewer than 200 men, armed with horses, steel weapons, and firearms, Pizarro exploited existing divisions, capturing Atahualpa during a seemingly routine meeting at Cajamarca. The emperor's subsequent execution marked the symbolic and practical collapse of Inca sovereignty. Within a few decades, the empire was subsumed under Spanish colonial rule, its political structures dismantled, its cities occupied or repurposed, and its people forced to navigate a new social and economic order. Yet the Inca legacy endured. Roads, terraces, irrigation systems, and monumental architecture continued to shape the Andean landscape. The Quechua language persisted, spoken across the highlands and valleys, carrying with it centuries of history, culture, and knowledge. Agricultural techniques, particularly terrace farming, allowed communities to sustain themselves in environments where traditional European methods would have failed. Religious and cultural traditions, adapted to new circumstances, retained echoes of the empire's spiritual worldview. Machu Picchu, once a royal retreat, now stands as a symbol of Inca ingenuity and resilience, a reminder of the civilization's ability to harmonize with the natural world while achieving extraordinary feats of engineering and organization. The story of Tawantinsuyu is one of human determination, innovation, and devotion. It is the narrative of a people who, in a rugged and often unforgiving landscape, forged a civilization capable of feeding millions, building cities among clouds, and governing a territory larger than any other in the pre-Columbian Americas. The Incas demonstrated that societal cohesion, technological skill, and spiritual depth could create an empire of remarkable scale and endurance, whose echoes continue to resonate across the Andes and the world at large. The Inca Empire, though vast and meticulously organized, was ultimately undone by a convergence of internal conflict, disease, and foreign incursion. The death of Emperor Huayna Capac left the empire without a universally accepted heir, sparking a civil war between his sons Huascar and Atahualpa. This struggle for succession fractured Tawantinsuyu, dividing loyalties across provinces and draining the state of the administrative cohesion that had underpinned its rapid expansion. While armies clashed in the valleys and mountain passes, thousands of citizens suffered famine, displacement, and disruption of the carefully maintained agricultural cycles that had sustained the empire for generations. Amid this internal turmoil, the empire faced an invisible and devastating threat: smallpox. Introduced from Central America through European contact, the disease spread rapidly, killing a significant portion of the population, including nobles, priests, and skilled laborers essential to the functioning of the state. Entire communities were decimated, leaving once thriving regions depopulated and unable to maintain roads, terraces, or administrative records. The combination of civil war and epidemic weakened the empire in ways that military strength alone could not remedy, creating a vulnerability that the Spanish would soon exploit. In 1532, Francisco Pizarro and a small contingent of Spanish conquistadors arrived on the northern frontier of the empire. Equipped with firearms, steel swords, and mounted cavalry, they faced a population that had never encountered such technology. Pizarro relied as much on cunning and diplomacy as on force, inviting the Inca ruler Atahualpa to a meeting in the town of Cajamarca. Outnumbered by thousands of unarmed attendants and caught off guard, Atahualpa was captured in a swift ambush. His detention, ransom, and eventual execution marked the collapse of centralized Inca authority and the effective end of the empire. The Spanish conquest was not merely a military victory. It was also a psychological and cultural upheaval. The Incas' system of government, deeply tied to divine sanction and social cohesion, could not survive the removal of its central figure, the Sapa Inca. Conquered provinces submitted unevenly, some out of fear, others in hopes of maintaining local autonomy or leveraging Spanish power against rival communities. Within decades, the imperial infrastructure, Roads, granaries, and administrative centers fell into disuse or were repurposed to serve colonial interests. The métier system endured under Spanish rule, though it was adapted to extract labor for mines and plantations rather than state construction projects, and the quipu system, the empire's primary record-keeping tool, was largely destroyed. Yet even in destruction, the Inca legacy persisted. The architecture of Cusco, Sacsayhuaman, Ollantaytambo, and Machu Picchu survived, demonstrating unparalleled skill in stonework and urban planning. Terraces and irrigation channels continued to support agriculture, and the Quechua language remained the lingua franca of the Andes, ensuring continuity of cultural memory. Religious practices were transformed and syncretized, blending Inca traditions with Christian rites, but elements of ritual, festival, and reverence for the natural world endured. These continuities illustrate the resilience of Inca civilization, which survived as cultural and practical influence even after its political structures were dismantled. The collapse of the empire was tragic yet instructive. It revealed the fragility inherent in centralized systems dependent on a single figurehead, and the vulnerability of even the most organized states to disease and external forces. At the same time, it highlighted the adaptability of human societies. Communities rebuilt, preserved knowledge, and integrated foreign elements while maintaining essential aspects of identity. The Andes today remain a living testament to the ingenuity of the Incas, whose innovations in agriculture, architecture, and governance continue to support millions. Long after the empire's political dissolution, the influence of the Incas remained embedded in Andean society and beyond. The network of roads, some still in use today, exemplifies the empire's vision of connectivity and organization, enabling trade, communication, and cultural exchange across thousands of kilometers of rugged terrain. Terraced fields, ingeniously engineered to capture water and prevent erosion, remain productive, supporting agriculture in regions where modern techniques struggle. Llamas and alpacas, once central to transport and textile production, continue to be vital to Andean life. Cultural practices, too, survived. Festivals, traditional clothing, weaving techniques, and agricultural rituals retain unmistakable Inca roots. The Quechua language remains widely spoken, bridging the centuries between the Inca Empire and contemporary communities. Machu Picchu, rediscovered in the 20th century, has become emblematic of the empire's enduring genius, drawing global attention to the sophistication of Inca architecture, astronomy, and urban planning. The city's terraces, plazas, and temples remain a vivid illustration of the empire's capacity to integrate human habitation with the natural world, achieving both functionality and aesthetic harmony. The moral and social principles of the Incas, embodied in the codes Amasua, Amalula, and Amaquela, continue to inform communal ethics in the Andes, emphasizing honesty, diligence, and fairness. The Ayalu system, though disrupted by colonial pressures, laid the groundwork for cooperative labor practices and social organization that persisted in rural areas for centuries. These principles underscored the Inca understanding that the well-being of the individual was inseparable from the well-being of the community and the state, a philosophy that resonates even in modern interpretations of Andean society. In scholarship and popular imagination, the Inca Empire stands as a symbol of human ingenuity, resilience, and adaptation. Its engineers, farmers, and administrators harnessed the formidable Andes to create a state of unprecedented scale, blending technological achievement with spiritual depth. Its collapse demonstrates both the vulnerability of complex societies and the enduring power of cultural heritage. Today, the legacy of Tawantinsuyu is visible in the continued use of terraces, irrigation systems, and highland roads, in the preservation of Quechua, in festivals and ritual practices, and in the ongoing study of Inca cities, textiles, and medical knowledge. The empire's story offers insights into the possibilities of human civilization and the intricate interplay between environment, society, and leadership. The Inca Empire, Tawantinsuyu, was more than a political entity. It was a vision realized in stone, soil, and human labor. Rising in the harsh, jagged Andes, it united diverse peoples under a single spiritual and administrative authority, combining engineering, agriculture, and governance with unmatched ingenuity. Cities perched on mountain ridges, roads spanning impossible terrains, terraces sculpted from steep slopes, and quipu records tracking every aspect of state life testify to the remarkable sophistication of this civilization. Its social and moral framework created cohesion, with the Elu system fostering communal responsibility and labor contributing directly to the survival and prosperity of the entire empire. Religious devotion intertwined with governance, ensuring that the Sapa Inca's authority was both divine and practical, while festivals, rituals, and offerings reinforced connections between humans, nature, and the cosmos. Medicine, surgery, and cranial modification reflected advanced understanding and cultural expression, demonstrating that the Incas' achievements were as much social and intellectual as they were physical. Yet, Tawantinsuyu was not immune to vulnerability. Civil war, disease, and the arrival of the Spanish brought a rapid and dramatic collapse, dismantling the political structures that had bound millions under a single authority. Even so, the empire's cultural, technological, and agricultural innovations endured. Roads, terraces, irrigation channels, textiles, and linguistic heritage survived to shape the Andes for centuries. Machu Picchu, Sacsayhuaman, and other archaeological sites serve as enduring monuments to the Incas' vision and skill, providing modern observers with tangible links to a civilization that mastered the mountains with extraordinary foresight and artistry. The story of the Inca Empire is a testament to human ambition and adaptability. It demonstrates the capacity of societies to organize, innovate, and harmonize with their environment while navigating immense geographical challenges. The empire's legacy, surviving through landscape, language, culture, and material achievements, continues to inspire admiration and study. Tawantinsuyu's history is not merely a record of conquest and collapse. It is a celebration of the human spirit, of ingenuity and communal endeavor, of faith and labor intertwined in the creation of one of the greatest civilizations of the ancient world. In reflecting upon the Inca Empire, one sees the convergence of the extraordinary with the ordinary. The grand palaces and temples of Cusco, the humble terraces feeding families on steep mountainsides, the intricate knots of quipu and the disciplined runners racing across gorges, all facets of a civilization that was both deeply human and transcendent in its ambition. Even as the centuries have passed and the empire lies in ruins, the Andes remain alive with the memory of Tawantinsuyu, a civilization whose echoes endure in the mountains, the rivers, the language, and the hearts of those who call this land home. The grandeur, innovation, and complexity of the Inca Empire continue to captivate historians, travelers, and scholars alike. Its story reminds humanity that greatness is achieved not only through conquest, but through vision, adaptation, and the harmonious blending of society with nature. Tawantinsuyu stands as a monument to what humans can accomplish when ingenuity, faith, and communal effort converge. A civilization whose lessons and legacies remain as vital today as they were centuries ago. And so, the story of the Inca Empire comes to a close, not as an ending, but as a legacy that still whispers across the Andes. From the sun-drenched terraces to the stone cities perched above the clouds, from the knotted cords of the quipu to the enduring words of Quechua, Tawantinsuyu's spirit lives on. Its lessons of ingenuity, resilience, and harmony with the natural world remind us that human ambition can reach extraordinary heights when guided by vision, community, and respect for the land. If you've enjoyed this journey through the peaks and valleys of the Inca Empire, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video. There are countless civilizations waiting to tell their stories, and together we can uncover the brilliance of the past, one empire at a time. Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and let history inspire every step of your journey.